Hey, what's going on guys? Zabby here and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we need to have a little bit of chinwag about the current state of LMU. I'm going to be splitting this video up into two parts, starting off with the good and then ending with the bad. So, without further ado, let's just jump into it. We'll start by talking about the good. I have been playing LMU for about 3 weeks now. I've come across from iRacing, but have also spent many hours on ACC as well. When you first hop into the game, the first thing that jumps out is just how good the game looks and how incredible it sounds. The graphics may be subjective and differ from person to person, but personally, I believe it is such a good looking game and really immerses you into it. The sound is where it takes immersion to a whole new level. Every car I have experienced sounds absolutely incredible. It makes you really just get lost in the game. It makes you feel like you were driving an absolute beast. When compared to other titles, I truly believe this is one of the best in audio. The online racing and servers are some of the best I've ever played on a racing sim. Going side by side into Lecom on Spa or Turn 1 at Monza, I don't have the same fear as I do with other titles. With netcode, if netcode is going to interfere or cause me or my competitor to get sent into the wall, I have been constantly amazed where I will be going side by side and I'm ready for netcode to strike and it just doesn't. This has caused some of the most consistent, best, intense racing I have ever had in a sim. Having the dread of netcode not there means you can just be more aggressive in driving and really get the full rubbing as racing experience. This does have its drawbacks however, but we'll jump into that in a little bit. Out of all the cars, the hypercars are the ones I'm most impressed with. They are the most difficult cars I've driven in a sim, and it's not from their handling. The thing that took a bit to get used to, and what really makes them stand out apart, is the hybrid system and battery system. In LMU, it has a fully functioning system with regenerative braking, meaning you must be consistently monitoring your fuel and battery use. Once you get comfortable with the system, however, you will never look back, and it will be the most fun you've ever had. There has recently been a new tyre update. I, however, never tried the old tyres, so all my opinion is off the new model. To me, the tyres feel amazing. When coming out on stone cold tyres, you have zero feel, zero grip, but as they gradually warm up, it gradually increases, meaning the warm-up phase of a lap is absolutely critical. This also gives you a mix of strategy. You can now under or overcut another car based on the tyre warm-up period. Having no tyre warmers in the races just creates a lot more uncertainty, which is a brilliant thing to have. Something that instantly caught my attention, however, and I haven't seen done in a sim properly, is that in LMU, you can flat spot your tyres. If you look up going into braking or you get taken out and you spin, you can flat spot your tyres and that has dire consequences. If you are unfortunate enough to flat spot your tyres, you will be met with a constant vibration going through your wheel, which depending on how bad you have flat spotted it, it can be extremely uncomfortable and at times hurt a little bit, meaning you could have 5 minutes to go and you've got to make the call whether you can push through it or box for new tyres. I think this is a welcome add-on and something that needs to be looked at more in sim titles, as it just adds to the immersion and feel of the game. I have found after jumping in LMU, it is extremely easy to get competent in different cars. There appears to be a small skill window where if you have any sort of experience in sim racing, you'll pick this up pretty quickly. After I had the game for about 2 hours, I was already comfortable with how the car felt and could be competitive. Keeping in mind though, you do start at the lowest rank, so competitors aren't the fastest, but the actual drivability of the cars is extremely easy to come to terms with. I've been finding myself not needing to practice for a week in advance just to do one race, and could basically jump in any car, do a few laps, and be able to drive it competently. And be competitive. Some will look at this though and be turned off instantly and call it a simcade. It's further from a simcade as you could be. I just think it shows how well they've developed the cars and how natural the car models feel and how you would expect a car to drive and feel. Right, into the part that everyone's here for, the negatives. Now before everyone gets their pitchforks out, just hear me out and listen to what I'm about to say. I'm not either for or against LMU or any other titles. I'm not a diehard fan of one and a diehard fan of another. It's purely just a middle ground look at things and a neutral look on how the game is. And unfortunately, it has some dire issues that need to be addressed from the developers. And the community cannot just sit back and just deal with it. One of the biggest points that was brought up when the game first appeared in early access was how there was going to be a career mode. However though, with the game in full release, you would expect there would be a career mode, but there just isn't. Apparently, it will be coming out early next year, but this is completely and utterly unacceptable. You cannot release a game in its full state, charging full price with content missing from the game. All you currently have to do is a quick race, and they haven't even been bothered to add a championship mode where you can select multiple events and do them against AI. This to me is extremely poor and to a point unethical, and it needs to be added ASAP. Smoothly brings me on to the next point, and one of my biggest issues with the game is the utter greed. To play LMU, you must first buy the game for $60. Once you have bought that, you load into the game to find you are missing majority of the content. If you would like all the other tracks and cards that are not in the base game, that is classified as DLC. To acquire all DLC at the current time of filming, it will set you back $100. So once you have spent $160, you now have the full game. Well, that's what you would think. Fortunately, you're allowed to do online races, which are the daily races, which change every week, the weekly races that only happen once a week, and the special event, which currently there's a 6-hour coming up. There is another series you can do. It's called the Online Championship. However though, if you would like to access this, you will need a subscription. A monthly subscription. There are 2 tiers to that subscription. The Pro, that is $13 a month. This will get you into those races locked behind the online championship paywall, and also allow you to join sessions early and actually be able to practice on official servers. As of right now, there is no sort of practice sessions or anything. So if you would like any of that, guess what? You have to get your wallet out again. The second tier is Pro Plus, which will set you back $22 a month. This gives you everything in Pro tier, but also released and future DLC and LMU and R Factor 2. If you don't want to buy the $100 DLC, you can go for this $22 subscription, but you still need to pay the $60 for the game. This means if you are wanting to play the full game at its full potential, you will be set back $173 of time of purchase, and then an extra $13 at minimum every month after that. This is a completely outrageous monetization scheme, especially the fact that not all content is the game as it is right now. Before people come and compare it to titles, mainly iRacing, I know iRacing is terrible, but honestly I don't care, this isn't iRacing. The tow system. In the current game, there is no sort of tow system. I believe this is due to the real life WEC series not having tows to garage, which I am all for Realism, but this is a quality of life feature that needs to be added. With longer endurance races expected to be coming and having no tow system, it's absolutely ludicrous, especially when it comes to online lobbies. Unfortunately, the general player base cannot be trusted in, as seen in other titles, and for your race to be ruined with no chance of getting back just takes the enjoyment out of the game. It may not seem like a big deal, and you can use it as an argument of just get good, but it's just a quality of life feature that needs to be added. Even if they decided to add tow systems, but it was a optional button that in hosted sessions you can select the on and off, but it's just enabled in the official servers. Another thing they should add is code 60s or safety cars. This is extremely self-explanatory, but there is currently no sort of safety car or code 60 in the game. They don't need to add these for the lower tier races, but especially for special events, I think it is a necessity, and it would just make the racing a lot more unpredictable and cause strategy to be a lot more applicable. Because unfortunately, in longer events, you do get stuck in the loop of stint after stint after stint, doing the exact same laps, exact same fuel saving, and that's it for 12-24 hours. So having that added uncertainty of if there's going to be a safety car or not, I think will just add a lot more interest into these races. The player base is a big issue. This is a hard comparison, as all titles have issues with bad players, but LMU has more of a problem, and here's why. The main reason why is it comes back to netcode. When netcode is no longer a worry, you can race rough. Unfortunately, it often goes past the point of a bit of door banging, as other cars will force their way through or go for moves that were never on. With the netcode being good, it means you don't often get the random spikes and heightened damage. So making a move into bus stop at Spa, for example, you can push the other car off the road and not get too much damage on your own car. This sort of racing where people just barge their way through becomes extremely frustrating and makes the game extremely enjoyable very quickly. And when you do have this sort of racing, there needs to be a tow system, because yet again you can get taken out by someone who's gone for a move that was never on, and you're out of the race and you've got no way of coming back. To round us off, there's a couple of slight critiques about the force feedback. Now, the force feedback is a bit of a 50-50 on what people believe it is and isn't. Some will love it, some will hate it, and there doesn't appear to be a good middle ground. I personally have found the force feedback very enjoyable, but it has taken a lot of messing around with settings in my either game or the wheelbase management software. Even though I still find it becomes pretty much numb when you're mid-corner on medium to slow corners. And as good as the flat spots are, there needs to be a way to turn the force feedback down just for those, because it causes immense vibration, which some will like, but it does start to hurt your wrists and makes you super worried about what's actually happening to your wheelbase, because it does sound terrible. It starts sounding like a G29 that's about to explode. Obviously, our wheelbases should be able to be up to this, but without any long-term testing, there's no actual answer as to what it could actually be doing to the insides of them. And when going off sound, it does sound absolutely terrible, and it does sound like it's damaging it. It may not be an issue, but just a setting to just turn it down would just be nice, and then you can decide if you want it on or off. Overall though, LMU is a very enjoyable game, and I am having a lot of fun just hopping in and doing some races. But for this game to be classified as a full release, it still needs quite a bit of work, and to get that to that point, they seriously need to reconsider how they monetize this game. The only way they can really fix this is by getting rid of their subscription, which I think they should just do, and make it a Patreon type thing. So the online races are still there, and if you don't want the subscription, you can access that online championship. But if you do want the subscription, they can give you some basic stuff, like something that isn't going to give you an advantage or give you more content. It's more of a thank you back to the developers for making the game. The only way they could really do it is, in my opinion, they could make it like a livery counter or something. So if the base game for one car had 10 different liveries you could save for that car, paying an extra you could get a couple more slots. Nothing that would be game breaking or take any sort of enjoyment out of the game, but it's just a way that you could thank the developers for making the game and supporting the game. After all these critiques, overall, I think if you're a big fan of WEC and multi-class racing, then this game really should be added to your library, because it is a ton of fun and it does do multi-class racing right. But would strongly recommend getting it on sale just because of how much everything does cost. And by the time you add everything up, it is a costly game. But anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more. Please let me know what you think. I've probably just angered the iRacing player base and maybe a bit of the LMU player base, but everyone just needs to take a chill pill and actually just listen to some criticism, because at the end of the day, we need to speak out on this, because it's just damaging our player base and it's damaging the game. And all we want is a good game out of it. And currently, it's getting there, but it still needs some work. But yeah, anyway guys, I've been Zabby, you've been lovely, and I'll see you another day.